A Herald Tribune reporter tackles schizophrenia in a series of stories currently appearing online at heraldtribune.com and coming up in this Sunday's paper. For reporter Carrie Seidman, it's personal. SNN's Kelly Rittenauer has the story.
Colleague and Herald Tribune reporter Carrie Seidman has been a staff writer for the New York Times and other newspapers. She's won numerous awards for her work. And now, to use an old-fashioned newspaper term, she's on a crusade to cover mental illness in a unique way, from inside her own family.
You never really feel like you're completely in the clear. Part of the impetus for doing this series was to hopefully kind of bring it out of the closet and allow people to have a different kind of conversation about mental illness.
Seidman's son, 31-year-old Keaton, is a talented pianist.
Before the onset of his mental illness, he was actually a student at the Berklee College of Music in Boston.
But at 22, his life took a dramatic turn. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia, a mental illness that Seidman says isn't talked about enough.
We don't talk about some people with these illnesses, or we use euphemisms like, well, you know, they had a nervous breakdown, which is not an accurate description.
Seidman says it's hard to get people to talk openly about the illness due to the stigma.
I actually had two other people who I had begun working on with when I started the story, and both of them backed out.
Seidman's hope for the future is that more people, like her son, will start openly talking about mental illness and removing some of the stigma.
I give him a lot of credit, and also the other young man who is part of the story, Patrick O'Keefe, because they were brave enough to allow their stories to be told and their pictures to be used.
Reporting in Sarasota County, Kelly Rittenauer, SNN, the Suncoast News Network.
Now, you're invited for a reception and community conversation about mental illness. Carrie and her son Keaton will be there. The reception will be at the Herald Tribune next Tuesday at 5:30 in the evening. And we're lucky to have Carrie Seidman joining us now. Carrie, this has got to be hard for you to write about, especially with the situation as it is. You're personally involved.
Yes and no. I mean, I really think the people that it was hardest for were my son and Patrick, who's the other subject in the secondary story, because they are the people who have this illness and who face a lot of stigma and discrimination. So their coming forward, I think, was really the difficult part.
Now, is schizophrenia an illness or a disease, or just something that happens to people?
It's a brain disorder. It's a brain disorder, just as if it were traumatic brain disorder from a war injury. It's a brain that doesn't function correctly.
What are some of the obstacles you're facing?
There are tremendous obstacles for people who have schizophrenia, from inadequacies in the healthcare system to challenges in the legal system, to probably the biggest one is the stigma in society about the illness, because people tend to think that anyone with schizophrenia is violent and dangerous and, you know, volatile.
Is the meeting coming Tuesday going to be just the first of many, or is it going to be just Tuesday?
We hope so. We hope I will be doing some follow-up stories to this project, and we're hoping to convene a panel of concerned citizens and legislators and community activists, and to try to start addressing some of the deficits in our treatment of people with mental illness.
Well, thank you so very much for joining us and sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me.
Carrie Seidman. You can read more on this in Sunday's paper, or you can go online to heraldtribune.com. Thanks again.